My name is Kelly, and I'm 28 years old. Lately, something unexpected happened that shook me to the core. I found out that the car I thought was a gift from my parents was actually meant for my sister, Claire. This was a huge surprise. I had always felt like my sister and I were treated differently, but this discovery made it all clearer. It felt like a betrayal. Suddenly, everything I thought I knew about my family started to fall apart. How could something like this happen without me knowing? Growing up with Claire wasn't easy. She's 3 years younger than me. But from the start, it always felt like we were treated differently. Before she was born, I was my parents' little star. They praised everything I did. But once Claire arrived, things changed. It was like all the attention shifted to her. I became the older sister, expected to take care of her and be responsible. At my age, I just wanted to have fun. But instead, I felt pressured and trapped in a role I never asked for. The more I tried to be a good sister, the more the pressure built up. Whenever something went wrong, I was the one who got blamed. If I made a mistake, it wasn't just a mistake. It was seen as something unsisterly. Claire, on the other hand, never seemed to face the same consequences. She was always praised, especially for her looks, and she got whatever she wanted. I felt like I was being punished for things I didn't even do. And the worst part? I didn't understand why. I remember one moment that hurt me deeply. I had worked so hard on my grades. I did extra activities and achieved a lot. I was excited to share this with my family, thinking they'd be proud. But when I got home, all anyone talked about was how many acorns Claire had collected that day. My heart sank. I felt invisible. My hard work didn't matter. The joy I had hoped to feel faded away, replaced with a deep sadness. That was when I realized, no matter how hard I tried, I would always come second. As time passed, I became more and more distant from my family. Claire was always the center of attention, and I felt like I was just a background character in my own life. The more I tried to share my happiness, the more I felt like it didn't matter. I started to keep my feelings to myself because I knew they wouldn't be valued. I began to question everything. Why was I working so hard when it seemed like nothing I did would ever be enough? Despite everything, I kept trying. I thought if I worked hard enough, my family would finally recognize my efforts. I focused on my studies, determined to make something of myself. But even as I succeeded, I felt empty inside. No matter how much I achieved, it never seemed to be enough for my family. I watched as Claire lived her life carefree, without any responsibilities. Meanwhile, I was stuck in a cycle of trying to please people who didn't even notice me. When I left for college, I hoped things would change. I thought maybe I could start fresh, away from the constant comparison. And things did change. I worked hard and built a stable career in a technical field. I felt proud of my achievements. But there was always this lingering feeling inside me. The feeling that no matter how hard I tried, I wasn't truly seen. My success didn't seem to matter as much as Claire's constant need for attention. I knew I had to do something special for my father, who had quietly supported me all along. He had always been there, even when my mother was focused solely on Claire. So, I decided to buy him a car, a Lexus, one he had mentioned years ago. It wasn't just a car, it was a symbol of my gratitude. The day I handed him the keys, I saw a smile on his face that I had never seen before. It made me feel like all my hard work had finally paid off. But then, something unexpected happened. Claire, who had never had to worry about anything, casually commented on the car, saying it was really cool. It hit me like a punch in the gut. She hadn't worked for it, hadn't earned it, yet there she was, acting like it was just another gift for her. It felt like everything I had done to please my family was being thrown aside. I was shocked. After everything I had done, it seemed like nothing would ever be good enough. A year later, I went to my favorite cafe on a quiet afternoon, hoping to relax. But when I arrived, I saw something that made my heart stop. The Lexus was parked outside. My sister, sitting inside, looked up and smiled. "Did you borrow the car?" I asked. To my surprise, she admitted that she had asked our parents for it. I couldn't believe it. The car that I had worked so hard to give to my father was now in her hands. It felt like a betrayal. I didn't know what to say. I just felt a rush of anger and frustration. It wasn't about the car anymore. It was about everything that had built up over the years. I had given that car to my father as a symbol of my love and appreciation, and now it seemed like Claire had taken it for herself. I didn't know how to express my hurt. How could I explain that I felt invisible, like my hard work didn't matter to anyone in my family? I went home that day feeling numb, unsure of what to do next. I knew I had to confront my family. It was time to stop hiding my feelings. I couldn't keep pretending like everything was okay when it clearly wasn't. So, I decided to have a conversation with my parents. When I asked why they gave the car to Claire, they didn't understand why I was upset. My mother's response was that it was their gift to do with as they pleased. I felt completely dismissed. The conversation quickly became heated. My mother insisted that they had every right to do what they wanted with the car. She even tried to make me feel guilty, saying that they were free to use their gifts however they chose. But I couldn't accept that. I had worked so hard for that gift, and now it felt like it had been taken away. I pressed on, asking how Claire had paid for her driving lessons. My mother's answer shocked me. She had used the money I sent for household expenses. That was the moment everything changed for me. I had been sending money every month, thinking it was helping the household. But instead, it had been used for Claire's driving lessons. Lessons she hadn't earned. I couldn't believe it. It felt like my hard work, my sacrifices, meant nothing. I had given everything to support this family, but they had been taking advantage of me. I couldn't continue to live like this. I had to stop sending money. I had to stop enabling this unfair situation. After that, I made a decision. I stopped paying the car loan. I stopped sending money for household expenses. I realized that I couldn't keep sacrificing myself for a family that didn't understand me. My sister called, angry that I had stopped the payments. She didn't understand why I was upset. But I was done. I couldn't keep carrying this burden. I told her that since she had taken the car, she should take on the responsibility. I couldn't keep doing everything for her. It was her turn to face the consequences. A few months later, I heard that Claire was struggling to keep a job. She didn't have the work ethic or responsibility to hold down a job, and it was starting to show. My parents were struggling too. Without my financial support, things were falling apart. My father even started divorce proceedings, though my mother opposed it. But for me, this was the result of years of indulging Claire. I couldn't keep carrying the weight of the family's problems. I had finally let go, and it felt like I could breathe again.